Welcome to Preside 10.19 release notes video. So Preside 10.19 released in November 2022. A handful of pretty cool features, minor improvements, mostly a maintenance release, but constantly improving and getting better. So I'm going to demo it using our Ready Membership platform. So Ready Membership is a platform by Pixelate, a membership experience, platform membership management, all that kind of jazz. It's pure play Preside under the hood with lots of our own customizations. I'm demoing in our local team test environment, so some of the content may be a bit janky, but hopefully you'll get the idea. So the first really tiny feature in Preside 10.19 is you can toggle showing the password. Hurrah. Pretty minor. I'm going to log in with SSO. And next up, we have segmentation filters. This is a headline feature of 10.19, and what this allows you to do is save your filters for your objects. So filters being, you have a data table like this, and you can filter the data on people that have cancelled their place on an event, for example, all these other things. You can create complex filters and save them. But what we've allowed you to do is save them in a way that is a little bit more powerful. So before this change, all filters were saved as their filter definitions, and when you use those filters in various places in the system, that filter would be dynamically evaluated in the database. Segmentation filters are a little bit different in that the results of the filter are saved to a flat table, so that when in context, when we run this filter and evaluate it, we're actually just looking at the flattened data rather than kind of complex joins and so on. So it can really help with performance. So the way we access them is through Manage Filters, and then we come to the Segmentation Filters tab, and we can see that we can access these filters in a tree view, which is the other really cool feature that they bring. So you can organize your filters in a tree, so we can have like members, active members, and then underneath that we could have various other things. That tree can go on as deep as you like. Obviously be sensible with it. And you can see that each filter gets automatically calculated in the background. This one was last calculated 24 minutes ago. We also tell you how long that took in case people have developed really complicated filters that are causing undue load and stress on your database, that this metric can help you maybe identify those quickly and do something about them. But in every other sense, they're the same as any other filter. What's nice about them is that they inherit their parent filter in the tree. So that means you can define really kind of basic roots, like they're a member or not, and then kind of gradually refine that and kind of spread that out into a tree that's really useful and well organized, which this also really helps with. We can do various things, like we can clone a section and clone that entire section into another one, so we can that can make creating these relatively easy. And if I just look at a single one, we get to see what its form looks like. It's the same as all of the other filter forms, except we get this calculate every X amount of time. We don't allow anything quicker than once an hour, to avoid customers creating filters that are going to be really problematic and run every 1 minute or something like that and bring the website down. But yeah, once every hour is the minimum, and everything else is the same. The other thing to note is we've changed the display a little bit of what they look like when you're picking a filter. So if I come into settings, this is a Pixelate specific feature, but the filter picker is called Preside. So here I can pick various filters that are contact filters. And we can see here I'm picking a segmentation filter. It gets this tree icon, and we get to see all of its parents. So USA members, active members, or USA contact resides in the state of California. And we can see that the filter is against the contact object. That's a new feature in 10.19, as well as the segmentation filters. Non-segmentation filters just have the same segmentation icon that they always had. Okay. So how you might use these segmentation filters beyond just using them as filters like you always have in the system is that you might do things in the opposite direction. So you might have a record, you might have a contact record that is just logged in for single sign-on to another system, and you might say, get me all of the matching segmentation filters for this contact and send them over with their single sign-on login packet, for example. And because all of the segmentation filters are saved, the results of those complex filters are saved flat into a single data table, that lookup is really quick and possible, really. So segmentation filters 1019, really excited about this feature, and we hope you are too. We will be releasing more UX around this. This is very much an alpha feature. For example, when segmentation features in the data table, we've got this tree icon here, and you can look at them, and just the same as you can with the filter folders. We envisage that getting a little bit clunky pretty quickly. So we're going to have a look at this and improve that in the next version. Okay, but that really is it, segmentation filters. The next feature is the ability to reset system email content. So developers provide default content for system emails. Those are things like forgotten password emails that get sent out and so on. So let's take a core system email, and let's say either a developer has updated that content to provide better content, or fixing a bug in that default content with variables or something, or somebody has gone in and badly edited it, or edited it anyway in a way, and they want to get it back to the default. Bold change here. So I'm just going to go in and edit this template, and when I do that, see bold change here, I get this reset template button. Very quickly, this gives me an icon. I can see the old and new copy. I can update it, which is actually resetting it, and now I've reset the content back to the system default, and that is that. Next really nice little UX improvement for front-end and back-end users is in the form builder. So form builder forms. I come to my test form. So here I have a test form with not very many exciting things, a few text inputs, and I'm just going to open up a page that has this in. Here we go. So here's that form in a page. Lots of purple. So yeah, so we've got the date, organization, text box, and text area. And what we can now do is add sections into this, and it's a really lightweight implementation. We just drag a section any way we want to start a section, and anything beneath that section is considered to be part of that section. So section 1 up until the next section. So if I then do another section here, we get section 2. Save, don't need to save that, that's it. So if I refresh that, we can see that the fields have been organized into sections, which is really nice. We could put content underneath that and put some, more rich content at the top of each section. And we can also make these collapsible and collapsed. Let's do a more sensible layout. Let's have the top one open. There we go. You can see now that the top one is open, but it's collapsible, and the second one is not. So yeah, that's sections in Form Builder. On quite a different theme, we have ND-JSON exporters. So let's find some data. Let's go to organizations. So with our exports, we now have ND-JSON as an optional format. I'm not sure it's disabled by default. Ask in Slack if you're not sure how to enable this, but yeah, so ND-JSON rather than CSV or Excel. Just going to select a few different fields. So let's go with organization name and ID, that makes sense. If I download that, you'll get to see what that format looks like. So ND-JSON is new line delimited JSON. So you have a complete record, a JSON object representing an entire organization record in this case, per line, which means that if some system is ingesting this format, they can read one line from the file at a time, parse the JSON, and if it was just a single line, that's valid JSON by itself. So it's really efficient. here we go. So we could, at any point, we could take a single line from the file and grab that object and be able to parse it. That's really it. So next up, a feature that arrived very late in the day, suggestion from Michi Nat, was, and we can't quite believe we never had this feature, but in the filters, if I come into an advanced filter, there's now an expression per object that will automatically be generated. So this is the contacts object. Under contact expressions, we will have contact matches. If it was organizations, it would be organization matches. If it was form builder forms, form builder form matches, saved filters. So you can create a whole load of filters, and then you can use those filters in other expressions directly. And can't believe we didn't have it before. I'm sure it crossed our mind several times and didn't have the time to implement it, but now we do. And what's nice about this is we can say, well, they do match all of these filters. Let's see if we get any. Yes, we do. So we've got 4 contacts that reside in California and are active members. But we can also then do the inverse of that, which was the original request from Michi. So that's really cool, and a nice way to do your inverse filters and save them. So then when you change the filter that it's the inverse of, you don't have to change the inverse one, if that makes sense. Yeah, really obvious, really cool, powerful feature. So thank you, Michi, for suggesting that. And then finally, we have, hard to demo, but we have a new concept called data export filters. There is data export templates. There is in the documentation, there is a video describing that in lots of detail. I will try to give an overview. In Core Preside, we've had for a little while, we've got this ability to export data. I showed you the ND-JSON format for export, for example. When you do that, you get to see this form with export fields, and you pick the format. You can save it for later and schedule that. But what export templates allow you to do is A, customize this config form, and you might have no config at all, and then B, kind of override how you get the data for the export, and then you can also force, well, it's always going to be in a specific format, and you might produce a custom format just for your exporter. So you might be exporting some complex finance report, and putting it into Excel with different colored headers and columns for different things and so on. So it needs a bit more logic, but what that enables you to do is provide that core template, custom template, but hook into all of these core features like the save for later and so on. So we've got a really, really simple example for finance exports. So we have invoices, for example, that have line items. This invoice export allows you to look and search and filter on invoices. Here we go. And then when we export that, we get to choose what format. So we could say ND-JSON, for example. We could limit that format just to CSV if we wanted. But what you notice is that you didn't get to pick the columns. So this is a really specific download format that has very specific columns. Each row is actually a line item, and then you get if there's multiple line items per invoice, you get the invoice repeated. But there you go. So hopefully you can imagine what you might use this for. The idea is, you rather than allowing customers to choose any old fields and then they're like, oh, I want this field for this particular export, you can actually design a hard-coded export for them where they can't go wrong, and it might do extra logic that you can't do just with formula fields and so on. So that's it. Hopefully that wasn't too slow or too quick. 10:19. Thanks for sitting through and watching the whole thing if you did, and hopefully we'll see you again in Christmas for 10:20. Thanks again.